Yeah. Yeah. Sounds so good, wouldn't you agree? Turn that shit up. Shot for you, shot for me. Only the real can relate. Mike Fuego. That's a fire. Amazing most. It's privy. This for that part of me that was styled by poverty. The hood in my veins now was clogging my arteries. It gave me vision, it also made it hard to see. I seen the artistry within the armed robbery. We got our 3-bedroom from a lottery, where you could catch a leg wound trying to find your key. You need that extra leg room when you find the V. Richer in the fence is what we bout to be. Brick sales, now every lobby got fish scales. Broke women who only hobby was rich males. You do 1 3 to 9, you take a big L. Then they throw that in your face, now how that shit smell. I'm coming home better than I used to be. I know the man in the mirror gon' shoot for me. I don't really trust niggas, truthfully. It's the privy, no motherfucking juice for me. I played them project games. Before Bloods and Crips, we had project gangs. They tried to jump me after school, but my projects came. Somebody ate your food, you had to digest pain. Damn, we came a long way from cane dealing. The hallways with the paint peeling. I swear to God, I must have seen 1 billion, but never even saved 1 million. The roof gone, we could change ceilings. The good guys, they the same villains. I woke up, I had a strange feeling. Bitch, I'm feeling like Dame feeling. I'ma be my own boss, any cost. Fat boy, 10 chains, no shirt. Ricky Ross putting on for my city. Now it's time they get me off. Been too long in this city, where the fuck I'm getting lost? You from where I'm from? You done what I done? You love Noriega, you was eating on the run. Police hit the door, they just beat it like a drum. It took me out that zone, that weekend wasn't fun. Now I just laugh when I'm looking back. I used to have to crash where I cooked the crack. I'm on the stage with a crooked hat, feeling like Big when he sang. Probably in a city I ain't never been. Trying to get some pussy I was never in. Tell them motherfucking haters that I'm better than Kelly rolling in my future, it'll never end. Tell a #1 producer who's the better pen. From a soldier to a shooter to a veteran. Damn Q, it be stupid to dish you. Even your superficial flows are super official. That last bar there wasn't even mine. Yay sniffing, I just did a Yeezy line. Way different, and I can't be defined. Stay pimping, and you know I'm keeping mine. It's for that part of me. It's for that part of me that was styled by poverty. Yeah, it's for that part of me that was styled by poverty. Woo! Mommy, I miss you. Yeah.
Peace to the gods and earths and all the positive people in the universe. My name is Anthony GMATH, and you're now listening to my audio diary, Styled by Poverty, the podcast, brought to you by the good people of the Vandal Hour and S.STREET Media. This episode is called The Poet. Bloodsucker. A corpse of a man he was, and of the living dead he resided. She, intrigued by death and innocent as a tulip, befriended this hollow vessel who spoke of nightmares he wished to fulfill. Her dreams he pandered in conversations over red wines and sweet music blissfully, corrupting her delicate smile, not knowing she differed from the promiscuous women he laid with and knew before, allowing his filthy desires to mold her like clay into a vixen, doubting herself and self-worth. She began to wither under the moonlight of his presence, while the vivacious components of her soul crippled into rot and dead leaves. He loved and lusted her in the same breath, as he welcomed her demise sadistically, as she professed her love in suicide notes, losing her mind in him and about him. She carved her wrists deep into veins. She began to mesh into the horrors of his world. Condemned to the prison cells of his Eden, a zombie she became, lifeless, like the many others he had touched and tarnished. It was damnation she found and confined, morbid kisses, pestilent kisses, delighted her like funerals she weighed. She needed him like air in her essence morose, and in this gray limelight, his oppression arose. The wolves cry. Over a candlelit dinner, we can sculpt our lives into lies and half-truths as we stare into each other's eyes, into the galaxies of our perjuries, while we fabricate our disgusting past into triumphant exploits, dressing up our downfalls as silver successes, making ourselves look immaculate like the Virgin Mary on the outside, but skin deep, we're nothing but lobsters and scavengers under the spell of romance, deserting the ugly absolutes of our persons for the characteristics of sunflowers. So I can kiss you and you kiss I, then we can lay together under chandeliers and linens and shed our costumes in ecstasy, exchanging passionate swears like passionate swears while red and purple mornings break and the beast in our cages awake together without any of the makeup we wore the night before when we were someone else playing a role like actors and actresses in movies and TV shows, because the antipathy of ourselves is greater than the love of ourselves. So inside we cry, cry, cry. This world ain't ours. I would stare at her revolution for hours and hours on end as time tiptoed past us discreetly, never disturbing our conversations of black empowerment and struggles we endured in this world that ain't ours, but our blood has poured for. I've seen strife in her dark eyes, deep as hell's abyss and perpetual like childhood memories, because for centuries our complexion has made us enemies of each other where love doesn't exist or coexist. So we remain in feuds while we overlook our vendettas against Uncle Sam and his America. In this game of games where politics bombard us into ghettos and ghetto minds, and if we're Adam and Eve, the government is the devil that told us the apple's divine. So now we lay in sin, letting our royalty be deterred by dollar signs, which doesn't make sense. Cause the queen I seen in her made me realize the king living in me. Peace, peace. How y'all doing, family, man? It's mathematics, man, aka the Lord of the Fly, aka the Ghost in the Matrix, man. You know, I like to start my audio diary, aka the Oddcast, a little bit different than how everybody else do their shit. You know, mine's is gonna be original. So I wanted to start off with some poetry. You know, this episode is called The Poet, and it's one of my strong characteristics or loves. Matter of fact, not characteristics, but one of my greatest loves is poetry. For the people that might not know, I've been doing poetry or writing poetry since I was like 9 years old, man. I actually have, you know, my first poem that I wrote. When I wrote that first poem, it was to my grandmother, who was at the time, I believe, was in the hospital. And I wrote this poem. I still have the poem. My mom's had passed it to me recently. I still have the poem in my possession. But, you know, I'm a writer. My first love is writing in all forms of the word. I've been writing short stories since I was young. I was very heavy into writing short stories when I was like 13, 14 years old. My older cousin, who I just seen recently, shout out to my cousin Justice, man, who I just got up with, who I haven't seen in 3 years. He was the first creative person that I ever met. You know what I mean? And he was an actor in Bronx Tale. He did commercials. He was heavily into being creative. But so shout out to the guard Justice. I'm gonna go into, our meeting yesterday a little bit later on. But back to this poetry thing, man. I've been writing all forms of writing since I was young. Y'all might not know, but I was a published poet recently when I was in college at Bronx Community College. One of my poems was published in their book called Thesis. You can actually find that book. It's called Thesis. The poem that I wrote, I actually forgot the name of the poem that I wrote. That's crazy, man. I was smoking before I started my podcast, so pardon me if I forget a few things. But yeah, back to this poetry thing. I wrote poetry in prison. I actually performed poetry on Rikers Island back in 2006. I also started a writing program when I was in Collins Correctional Facility. I started a writing program with another Virgo, I forgot his name, and we started a writing program in Collins. I won a few contests in Collins for writing. If you can't see it, but behind me I have the awards on my wall, hanging up on my wall. But I've been writing since I can remember. My mother says that it's my true talent. I usually tell people I don't have no talent, but in reality, my talent is writing. I wrote a few poetry books that I never published. One is called Nobody Knows My Soul, which is my first one. Another book is called Mama Said, Death is the Beginning. And then I have a third one that I forgot the name of also. I'm going to be publishing them soon, very, 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 very soon. Being into business so much, I don't get a lot of time to be creative. So my time that I got to be creative is very limited. Right now I'm writing a book called A Message to the Bag Man that I'm halfway through. It's a dope book. It's a financial book that helps people who want to get into entrepreneurship. I'm not going to go too much into that now, but I am working on that. But I've been writing poetry deeply since 21 years old. When I went to prison, I really got really serious with writing and performing poetry. In prison, I performed poetry like almost every Friday, or at least 2-3 times a month, that I had poems that was actually popular in the prison that people wanted me to actually say, or they was waiting for a new poem for me to write. I performed at like a lot of prison events in front of like outside people also. I performed poetry when I was on the run. In 2005, the end of 2005 to the middle of 2006, I was on the run. And when I was on the run, I was performing in New York City at different poetry clubs. One of them being Stained, that was on Grand Street back in the days. And I performed there a lot of times. People from the projects came. I had a lot of my friends used to support me performing there. What was crazy is during that time, I was really on the run, and that's no bullshit. I was on the run the whole time. there was even a point that when I performed at Stain, the person who owned Stain was so intrigued by my story, not that I was on the run because she didn't know, but that I was in the streets, that she got me a gig with MTV, being a person that was kind of the spokesperson. I don't know. I kind of did a commercial basically, and it was like, my name is Anthony Womble. I'm a host. I'm a poet at Stain, and you're now watching MTVU.com. If you want to MTVU.com, Battle of the Bands. If you want to go to any of the bands that you voted for, go to MTVU.com and place your vote. Some shit like that. I kind of fucked up, but yeah, I did a commercial for MTV. Battle of the Bands. This is '06, I believe. It's a crazy time. I guess when me writing, usually when I was writing poetry, is usually me in a negative space. I usually don't write poetry in a when I'm in a good space. Usually my poetry comes from a dark place. Not to say that all my poems is dark, but they're definitely not no happy-go-lucky, type stuff. And it ain't no like, all that, pro-black Afrocentric stuff, that real commercial stuff. It's really like my words. Like this podcast is an audio diary. My poetry is basically that same type of thing. It comes from a place that I don't put out to people too much. But performing wise, I think I was good. A lot of people thought I was good. I don't know why I don't do it no more or perform no more. I do throw events that deal with poetry, but I don't really perform too much. I don't know why. I'm just more probably financially. My thoughts is more financial than creative sometimes, which is bad. But life is real, and sometimes you don't have so much time to be creative, especially when you're not making money from it. So I focus more of my time and thoughts on business. What's crazy is when I was in prison in Collins Correctional Facility, I met a famous poet there by the name of Gil Scott Heron, pardon me. And he's the guy behind The Revolution Won't Be Televised, I believe. And he used to give me books from black poets like County Cullen and stuff like that. And, kind of give me like the backdrop of black poetry. And so he actually read some of my poems and thought that I should stay with it. I should keep working with it. So that was he. Actually, I have a poetry book actually signed by him. For the people who's my friends, whoever seen the book, know that I have a book signed by Gil Scott Heron. Which is crazy, man. I never sell that book. I'm not gonna lie to you. I wouldn't sell that. I wouldn't sell that for if they offered me $1 million. I'm lying. I would. But if it wasn't $1 million, I wouldn't. I want to speak about the last episode also. I've been getting a lot of good responses, man, for the episode. I appreciate everybody who spent their time listening to it, letting me know how they feel about the podcast. I got a lot of tips and a lot of critiques. A lot of people critiqued it. And I appreciate that. One of the things somebody told me was I was wrong about the Thanos part I was speaking on in episode 1993. It's Apocalypse that's the mutant that comes from like Egypt, not Thanos. But a lot of people was feeling that episode, 1993. I'm going to go more into things that happened in 1993. I just didn't want to spend the whole episode building on 1993. You know, I want to go more into what was happening with me during those times, more into what was happening to me in prison, what was going on with me during that time in the streets. The past years are not off limits. It's just that I just didn't want to spend a whole episode talking about 1993. Same way, like, I'm not going to stay talking about poetry, but poetry connects to a lot of other things in my life. As I said, I was on the run during the time of me performing poetry. Poetry also had brought me to have conversations with my English professors in college who actually edited my first book, Nobody Knows My Soul, which is ill. I had he was interested in my writing. My teacher was interested in my writing. He felt that I was a good writer. He read the book. He actually did, like, you know, some critiquing and also editing to the book. He took me out to eat to conversate about my book. To me, that was like a major, like, accomplishment for me during that time. Like, it was crazy, man. And he's not the only professor that I went out to eat dinner with or become cool and friends with and have personal relationships with outside of school. A lot of my professors really respected, you know, my intellect. You know, they felt that if my circumstances was a little bit different, maybe I would not have went the path that I went. And I agree to that. Environment plays a strong part when it comes to, you know, what a person becomes. You know, nature versus nurture argument, you know, environment versus DNA. You know, both of them play important. Both of them are equally intricate in the development of a person. You know, there's not DNA in wrong environment may turn out negative. Good environment, bad DNA may give you something else. You know, so both of them play an important part in the development of a person and who a person becomes. A lot of people spoke about in 1993 that they felt me speaking about the OG aspect was very important. I actually going to be speaking about OGs in many of my podcasts. I got a new term for them too. They called OGs by default. So when you hear me say OGs by default, you know who I'm speaking about. Is those type of dudes that I was talking about in 1993 that I'm referring to. The opening music, man, I apologize by not speaking about my man QU. Amazing, man. QU Amazing is the one who did the Style by Poverty opening song. I let the whole joint play out for this episode because I want y'all to really hear the song. He said he was inspired by the phrase, man. And when he wrote the song and he played it to me, he gave me you know, a first. He allowed me to listen to it first, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I thought he was talking about me, man. I thought he was talking about me, but when he said Fat Boy Ricky Ross, I was like, oh, you're not talking about me. But I felt that connected to the song, man. He performed the song recently in a few of my events, and everybody reacts the same way, man. The song is a dope song. The version I have is not even his edited version. He has one that sounds better. You know, he mastered it. So when I get that joint, I'm definitely gonna make that one the opening song again. But you know, poetry me, the times as I said before, me, the times I was doing poetry too, just to, I was usually in prison or on drugs. I'm not going into my drug thing now, but I just wanted to say that the poetry connects to me in many, 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 many ways. Recently or yesterday, I got to see my cousin Justice, man. And seeing my cousin Justice was a breath of fresh air. I got to see my little cousin who just came home from prison. Shout out to Casper also, who just came home from doing some time. I love them both. But yesterday, me and my cousin got to speak, man. And on Instagram, I said that he's the jizza to my Wu-Tang. And what I meant by that is, as I said earlier, he was the person that introduced me to creativity. My cousin was the person who started writing rhymes first. He helped me write my first rap. He had a short story series called Journeys that was crazy. He used to just describe it to me while we was outside on our skateboards, and I'm talking about we young. And he has these intricate characters and plots and themes and the location. He described the location, and very, 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 creative person, man. So I try to mimic everything that he did. So Jizza to the RZA, Jizza's the one who introduced him to the nation of gods and earth. He's the person who introduces him to hip hop. That's kind of what Justice was. And so me and him got to talking yesterday. His birthday was August 10th, the day I actually did Style by Poverty. And we had a great conversation, a lot of creative conversation. I haven't had a person who I could really bounce these creative ideas off, and vice versa. I'm usually around business-minded people. So, me and my cousin got to go through this chamber of creative thought, creative stream, man. And his outlook, his perception on things is very similar to mine. And, it shows that, I missed him, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. Not having a person around like that, it kind of stunts your creative growth. And me and him is talking about, doing documentaries together. We're talking about doing, podcasts. We just trying to be creative individuals, man. And shout out to Casper, my cousin Casper, man. He's doing music. Shit is fire. He's young, so he's definitely doing what's happening now, sound wise. But the way he's doing it is very unique. He likes to switch up flows a lot within the song, within the verse. And he had played 3 songs for me, and I'm not gonna lie to you, the shit was fire, man. The shit was fire. He's working with his peoples and shit, and they from some of his peoples is from Williamsburg Project. Shout out to all my Williamsburg people, who be supporting everything I do. But we was kicking about his music, what he's about to do musically, man, and life-wise. And I think he got a good head on his shoulders. So I'm just I'm going to support whatever he's doing, man, and make sure to try my best to if I have any opportunities, to offer the same opportunities to him, man, because that's what we didn't get when we was young. When me and his pops was young, a lot of these opportunities that's out now, or people that's doing stuff that we wanted to do, they wasn't really looking out like that. You had to be lucky to bump into someone who put any time towards you trying to help you achieve any goals. My cousin was lucky because he went to LaGuardia High School, man. Shout out to LaGuardia High School too. Shout out to my Murray Bertram peoples too. I'm a Murray Bertram head, graduated in 1994. Shout out to all my 1994 graduates, Murray Bertram graduates. But yeah, my cousin went to LaGuardia, so you know that was a creative place. That was a place where you had a chance to either do music, art, or dance, I believe. And a lot of famous people came from there. You know, a lot of my man from Juice, Omar Epps, you know, Marlon from the Marlon Wayans. A lot of famous people came from there. That's what the show Famous is about. That school. But yeah, man, it was just great catching up with my cousin. We was out there. I was on my grind doing what I do, man. For people who don't know, you know, I got a clothing line under the Style by Poverty brand, and shit is doing good, man. A lot of people supporting. Shout out to all my Williamsburg people that supported from day one. I've been doing it for 17 years, and my Williamsburg people, man, they really, really, really hold me down when it comes to my clothing line, man. So, man, I want to get into, you know, before I started a show, I was smoking some weed. You know, weed is legal in NYC now. Shout out to the legalization of weed. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm kind of upset that they legalized weed. Yeah, I'm old school. First of all, they're gonna be taxing it. First of all, you know, now weed is so commercial, it's everywhere. Now you don't know the difference between the good and the bad because they both look the same. You know, they got these names on it. You know, rarely do the people who selling to you be honest to you about what they're selling to you. You know what I mean? People, I know, this shit is crazy with the bud shit, man. $70 eighths, $80 eighths. For for my audience that don't know what an eighth is, that's a 3.5 grams. 3.5 grams, $80. That's like crack money. You know what I mean? Heroin money off of weed. These dudes is bugging out with this fake rapper weed, man. I'm mad what they doing to the culture. You know, I'm not in that, you know, right now they like the weed community. I'm not part of the weed community. Out of the weed community is rats anyway, if you don't know. But I'm not part of the weed community. You know what I mean? That shit is commercial also. You know, you got a lot of, you know, all these famous people now, they want to open up these brands of bud, sell like Jay-Z got what's the shit, Monogram. You got Urkel, Purple Urkel. You know, all these famous people now are swooping in and, you know, commercializing the weed trade. You know, it's like you gotta almost be a bootlegger of weed now, because all the commercial people are saturating the market. I'm tired of these, you know, these people with the you know, let me keep it a buck with you, man. I bought a $60 eighth like 2 months ago with my man M. Dot. We was in the P's or outside of the P's, and I wanted some bud. I usually don't buy bud. That's a lie. I buy bud off of people just to get a different taste of things, especially if it's people I trust. But I don't know what's really going on in the hood no more. So I asked the guard, "Yo, boy, you know, I'm on an eighth." So he told me it was $30. Coming to find out, this shit was $60, man. What the fuck is that? In the hood? In the hood? But you know, different time. I'm not gonna be no old head and shit on a new hustle, man. But I'm just saying I can't conform to that. I can't conform to that. So I put $40 in for the eighth. He put the $20 in, and we get this eighth, man. Yo, the shit was gaga. The shit was trash. I'm saying like, I'm not. Let me. I gotta reiterate what I'm saying. The shit was trash. Like regular weed trash. And I'm not gonna even shoot shit on regular weed like that. But the shit was like, it was garbage. This is how I know that it's commercial. This is how I know that the weed game is commercial now. Because of shit like that, man. Because of shit like that. Yo, please, man, if you a weed dealer, step your game up, man. First of all, I'm gonna blow it up. Weed is not that expensive, man. So if you're selling $90 eighths, man, you're bugging. $30, $40, I can understand that, man. No more than $40, man, for bud. I'm gonna start a petition, man. I'm gonna start a petition. I'm gonna be like, yo, we are striking these weed dealers. We are not gonna support them no more, man. We're gonna start going uptown, back to Post, Amsterdam, Audubon. We're gonna go back to our peoples, man, and get some official weed for some real prices. Which, on the low, if you're not tapped in, those places is popping again, man. A lot of people want that haze, man. A lot of people want that haze, man. A lot of people want that. A lot of people want good bud, and they don't care what name that is going by. I just want some good weed, man. I don't even care about the name, but I want some good weed, man. I'm gonna say this: there's a few strains that I fuck with that I think if the person who's selling to you really has that strain, it's official. Gary Payton. Lord have mercy. Gary Payton is one of the best weeds I've smoked in the recent times. What's that? Peanut butter breath. Top notch shit. Top notch shit. And another one is forbidden fruit. That shit is black. A dude tried to sell me some forbidden fruit, and it was green. I laughed at him. He don't even know. That's what I mean by people selling weed, trying to say it's this and that, and it's not what it is. It wasn't what it was, man. So shout out to all the weed dealers that really sell the shit that the name that they say it is, it really is. Shout out to all of them. Shout out to all of them, because it's rare these days. It's rare these days, man. But shout out to my moms, you know, Miss Rose. That's what the hood call her. That's what many people call her. Shout out to Miss Rose. We call her Rose World in my crib, aka Rose World. She wanted me to say that it's the 50th anniversary of the song "What's Going On." And if you don't know what's going on, that's by Marvin Gaye. And the reason why she told me that I should speak about it is because the podcast is basically that mindset, like what's going on. Like me analyzing society and different subjects and topics and basically asking what's going on. You know what I mean? So shout out to my moms for that. You know what I mean? But speaking of what's going on, right now, the shootings in New York is at an all-time high. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's very reminiscent of the 90s. Is it the 90s? No. Or the 80s? No. Because if you didn't grow up in the 80s, which I did, then you don't know the fuck you're talking about. The 80s was like run down, burnt down, stray dogs attacking you, like, you know, dead ass. You go into any block in New York City, especially in Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan, and somebody pressing you. Every corner, it was some action going on. It can't be that now these days, because cell phones fuck that up. Cell phones automatically negates what can happen similar to the 80s or the 90s, because people was not paying attention enough or walking around in the streets enough. Computers and cell phones is not walking around in the streets enough to be like the 80s or the 90s. So like in New York, they be saying these statistics with the shootings, which, you know, I just want to say, man, analyze everything that you come into contact with, whether it be the news, radio, podcast, newspaper, magazines, social media. With the thing with the shootings right now in New York, which is high for a person, since, you know, Bloomberg and Giuliani they kind of cleaned up New York. New York hasn't been like how it really was. So if you grew up in these times now, you haven't seen New York on tilt. New York has been on tilt. There was a time that, I believe it's in 1994, I always say the statistic, but I remember reading the newspaper in 1994, I believe. It could have been 1993 or 1994, but Brooklyn had 718 shootings. Manhattan had 212. I'm not exaggerating. That was the number. The Bronx had like 600 and something shootings. Queens had like under 100 something shootings. Staten Island had under 50 shootings, something like that, right? But if you put those numbers together, if you put those numbers together in comparison to what's going on now, Brooklyn alone had more shootings than everything that's going on right now. Just one borough. You know what I mean? Just one borough. People don't know about East New York in the 80s. You know what I mean? East New York in the 80s was like the murder capital of the United States. You know what I mean? So, when you look at these statistics, it's bad in comparison to our new normal. You know what I mean? That's what best way I could say. It's crazy to our new normal. And our new normal, you know, these numbers is high. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's crazy out there. It's crazy. You know what I mean? It's crazy out there, man. You know, there was a lot of shootings in a 90-minute period yesterday. I think one of the places was Roosevelt Projects. It's been getting crazy shooting wise. But let me just say this. We live in a time that people are disconnected. We live in a time that people don't interact with each other. So if there is a problem, there's no solution or there's no way of finding a solution, because these people it's happening on site. And since you have no connections with each other, you're not playing ball with each other, you're not playing cards with each other, you're not outside hanging out with each other, you're just finger fucking over the internet. You know what I mean? Finger fucking their phones. And with these beefs, and when they see each other, they just squeeze triggers. There's no emotion there. That's the difference. I'm gonna say that's the real big difference of now versus back in the days. You know, when a person got killed, a person got stabbed, a person got cut, it was usually for a reason. You know, it wasn't no emotional shit. Unless a nigga was on dust, and you know, you gotta put an asterisk by that. Because niggas on dust, if y'all don't know about them dust stories, niggas done kill shit for no reason. Just tweaking, you know, Chris Tucker Friday type shit. They in a chicken coop type of thing. But there people who was getting dealt with a lot during those times. I'm not gonna say all, but a lot of people during those times, it was usually a cause and effect thing. You know, it wasn't just cause; it was a cause and effect thing. You know, so that's why I think that's how I think the times differ. But you know, we are disconnected as a society. We are disconnected as a community. In individual communities, we are disconnected. How many people know their neighbors or speak to their neighbors? I know in my building, I probably speak to like 2 other tenants in the building. And that's crazy. People don't even want to speak to each other. So it's a disconnect. So it's easy for death to just swarm because there's no connections between people. And our kids have even less, especially because they're beefing over computer devices. You know what I mean? They spent their childhood on one of them fucking PlayStation games. What's that shit? The army shits. I don't know what them shits called. My son, one come out on my son's birthday every year. In November they drop one of those shits. But you know, Call of Duty. You got dudes who childhood was on Call of Duty. They jumped off the porch during the pandemic and they ready to kill shit and drill shit without thought because there's no connection. There's no connection. These kids don't know each other. These kids is in the house or they're in their hallways with their gang. You know, no community connection. No, in Waynesburg, we knew dudes from Bushwick. We knew dudes from Cooper. We knew dudes from Marcy. We knew dudes from Tompkins. We knew dudes from Campania. We knew dudes from Borinquen. You know, we interacted with each other. We was in school with each other. We played sports with each other, YMCA type of things, you know, PAL. But do these programs exist anymore? I don't really see no PAL shirts no more. I'm not gonna lie to you. Somebody let me know that. I don't be really seeing no PAL shirts no more. Unless it's for like a basketball game or something, like one basketball game in a year. You know, so there's no connection, man. So our kids is being killed and these guns are going off because our society has become disconnected. And I believe social media and I believe, you know, especially with this pandemic, isolation is definitely one of the causes or some of the main causes of this, man. We gotta change that. I was saying that at my event, we had an event this week, our Sister to Sister event. Shit was dope. S.STREET Media threw a dope women's conference and networking event called Sister, which is based on the Eric Jerome Dickey book. A lot of dope women was out there. A lot of empowering women was there, telling their stories, giving their testimony, you know, just connecting. It's connecting. I like doing shit like that. Especially with our women, because you know, the women is the glue. The women is the glue, the connectors, and so I try to give them a platform to where they could connect that, and let me just keep it a buck with you. Women ask me to throw them. Like we done threw a few, and then women started saying like, "I like when you do that. I'm definitely want you to throw another one." You know what I mean? So we started, you know, catering towards those. You know, so recently we had the ladies' first joint, and now we had the sister joint, and the sister joint was a success. Shout out to 1718 Collectives, Sosa. My S.STREET Media partner, you know, he put together a dope event, and we had MCs, Boss Lynn, we had Dimples, her name is Red Scarlet, her performing name. We had some poets. We had a comedian by the name of Cher. She's really dope, man. She's really, 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 really dope. You know, it was a dope event. It was a dope event. If you see us advertising, if you see me advertising any event, hit me up, man. You know, I would love to have, you know, my peoples come out to an event. A lot of my peoples do, but it's a great space if you're an entrepreneur or a creative person. It's a great space because both of those characteristics are in our events. We make sure that it's always a strong creative presence and a strong business presence. And you know, we have an event coming up called BCon this Saturday coming up, I believe the 14th. If you follow me, follow my S.STREET Media page, follow my 1718 Collective page, the Vandal Hour page, and Style by Poverty page, so you could be up on all the information of what I'm doing, man, and what we are doing as a company. You know, right now, the hustle's changing. You know, it changed already. I come from a time when people were selling crack on the corner, you know, or in the projects, or in the hallway, or in the trap. Now, the hustle has changed. Just like our disconnected streets changed, the hustle changed. And now it's scamming. Scamming is the new hustle, man. Scamming is the new hustle. I don't know too much about modern day scamming. When we was young, you know, dudes was fucking with cards and stuff like that. Shout out to my peoples that fuck with the cards. Y'all know who you is. But you know, and let me say this. I know some of the best when it comes to them credit cards and them checks and you know, the money orders and the banking shit. I know people who was doing that shit in the 80s. Let me say that again. I know people who was doing that in the 80s. Fur coats, Maximums, Jettas, Big Doe boys. Y'all know who that is, man. If you're from the hood, y'all know. Y'all can read between the lines more or less, man. You know what I mean? If you know, you know. So the new shit now though, this has outdone crack though. And heroin. This scamming shit is crazy, man. I'm gonna say scamming is so crazy, man. You can't even cash a money order without going through some troubles. You can't cash a check in 2021 without going through a rigorous fucking I think a real hard way or rigorous or very rigorous. I might be saying this word wrong. An extensive, that's even better. An extensive background check and your credential check is fucking crazy, man. One day I'm gonna just cash a check that a person gave me. It took me like 4 to 5 hours. And I know, pardon me if I was stuttering just now, man, but it took me like 4 to 5 hours to cash a check for $1,000. What the fuck? Scamming is crazy, man. Scamming has changed the world completely, whether it be us having to have these 1,000,000 passwords, and you got to put a password on your phone, and you got to do these if you're going into your account and you forgot your password, they got to email you, or they got to call your phone or send you a text, and you got to put the number into the computer, and when you put the number into the computer, you got to reset your password, and when you reset your password, you got to do it twice to confirm it, and then make sure that you're not a robot, and then when you're not a robot, then you could send it and make sure it happens. You know that type of shit I'm talking about? That shit is crazy, man. So scamming has changed the world. I know someone who whole tax refund was taken. You know what I mean? This is years ago. Scamming has changed the world, and it has changed the criminal also. The criminal ain't don't have to be thuggish and all that shit no more. The criminal can be a nerd who never go outside and make thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. I know some of these people. The dark web, the black web, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of these type of people selling guns, drugs, IDs, women, children over these platforms. And they're not gangsters. Not gangsters in the eyes of what we 90s and 80s kids thought a gangster was. These dudes ain't busting guns, they busting checks. They ain't on corners. They in condos. You know, the time that you spend in selling drugs is a waste of time in comparison to what they're doing. It may take you this certain amount of time to get 100,000. It take them motherfucker a couple of hours to get 100,000. It's a different game. It's a different time. Scamming is the new heroin. Scamming is the new jokes. They sticking motherfuckers up with no guns. But this is what I want to say to that, man, because I'm not promoting this at all. Let me say this. When I was in prison in 2007, up north wise, a lot of people was in prison for scamming. Let me say that was the new crack. A lot of people was getting 2 to 4s, 3 to 6s for scamming. You know what I mean? So I imagine now that was 11 years. That was years ago, more than 11 years ago. I imagine that number has increased. Scamming is a paperless crime, which I don't do, but scamming is one of them things that you don't gotta bag a person right now. If you touching checks, you touching paper, which you know they check fingerprints. I know someone personally who they took the fingerprint off one of those checks to catch the person. And someone is getting seen on camera sometimes, a lot of times. So they build these cases, man, against these scammers. You know what I mean? That shit don't go unseen. And right now, with that, when they did that pandemic money, a lot of the scammers came up. Matter of fact, shout out to anyone who came up off that shit. I'm not shooting down no hustle. Whatever, however you get your bag, however you get your motherfucking chips, how the fuck you get to it, that's on you. But during the pandemic, dudes came up. Dudes even was rapping about it. That's how much money dudes is getting, man. You know, the scamming shit is crazy, but I'm gonna say this. It is a dangerous hustle. You can't let the wolves know that you're getting money, because a lot of the times, I'm not gonna say all the times, because I know some gangster scammers, let me say super gangster scammers, but a lot of them are not. You know what I mean? Respectfully. A lot of them are people who just smart enough to know how to do some computer shit, who know how to change numbers and shit like that, and they know how to get to it. They know how to do that shit. And what I'm going to say is a lot of people with the pandemic money are getting arrested later. It's happening already. People started getting arrested already. So it's happening. So I'm going to say be cautious if this is your route on getting money. Be cautious. Because the alphabet boys don't play with that shit. They don't play with no crime. Shout out to the dudes who know how to get over and get away. You know what I mean? Shout out to the brothers, man. I always love a good criminal. You know what I mean? A lot of us, including myself, are not that bright when it came to criminality. I'm not gonna front like I was a mastermind and shit like that. I was better than the average though. Let me say that. But I wasn't no mastermind. I wasn't Frank Matthews. You know what I mean? Make sure you check out that Frank Matthews documentary again. But I'm I just want to talk about that scamming shit, man, a little bit, man, because that's the new crime. And this podcast, we are up to date with what's going on in the streets. Our ears is to the streets. Our hand is on concrete. Our arms is long. So we like to, my audience is a diverse audience. So I like to, say some shit that, on different topics that touch different people different ways, just so, they can get some information. I'm giving out information. You know what I mean? My way. Let me say this. Today's mathematics is knowledge, equality, or being born to God. Knowledge, equality, or being born to God. Now, knowledge, as I said in the last episode, is to look, listen, and observe, and also to respect. Knowledge is the foundation of all things in existence, such as the black man is the foundation of his black family, such as the sun is the foundation of the solar system, right? So 6 is equality, the deal equal in all aspects of life. 120 knowledge, 120 wisdom, 120 understanding. Equality, either you bringing somebody up or they bringing you down. That's equality. Together they make God. God is the supreme being, the black man of Asia. You know what I mean? That's what God is. Gumar Oz-Dubar, Gumar Oz-Dubar. Wisdom, strength, and beauty. God. G-U-A-A-D, I believe is another way to spell it. Let me take that back. I recently just seen that. But God is the supreme being. Not no Greek shit either. Not no Greek and those mythological stuff. I'm talking about God being arm, leg, arm, head. I'm talking about man in flesh. You know what I mean? So today's mathematics is knowledge, equality, or being born to God. And God being the supreme being, the black man of Asia. Knowledge being to look, listen, and also to observe. And equality is to deal equal in all aspects of life. You must take that knowledge that you have and share it with the other people. You don't get knowledge and information and keep it to yourself. You get knowledge to help someone else, to inform someone else, to bring somebody up. That's what knowledge is for. We ain't on no keeping no secret shit here. We ain't charging for it. This is free. This is free. Knowledge is free. It's infinite. It's infinite. And I'm going to give it out every time I do this podcast. That's what I do. You know what I mean? Before I close the show, I want to say this. 2 albums are one album dropped. The Nas album dropped. Shout out to the Virgo Nas. I still didn't listen to the whole album, but from the few songs that I did hear, I'm feeling them. I'm feeling moments. I'm also feeling that EPMD song without the Eminem part. Not to shady, but I'm not a fan of Eminem no more. Outside of the 3 albums, the first 3 albums, I'm not a fan. The first 3 to me are classics. But this is not about Eminem. This is about Nas. The Virgo dropped an album recently. I believe it's The King's Disease Part 2. Let me know what y'all feel about it. My favorite song, and I only heard of a couple of songs, is Moments. Y'all let me know what y'all feeling on the album. Kanye West's album is supposed to be dropping soon. I heard he's trying to push it back so he could go against Drake and do what he did with the 50 Cent thing in 2007. Kanye West, man, is one of my favorite artists. I don't think that he's no crazier than anyone else out here. I think he's a genius, actually. And this album I'm waiting on, he's been throwing these listening parties at one of them stadiums. He's actually living there too, man. My man, he goes all out for the art. You know what I mean? He's a creative genius, man. And I'm definitely waiting for this album to drop. I heard that he flew the Locks in to be on the album after their battle against Dipset at Madison Square Garden last week. So he got the Locks on it. And I heard he got Jay-Z on the album also. I heard that Jay-Z recorded the album on a plane. Let me know if that's real. I don't know. But let me know if that's real. So I'm getting ready to go. I want to shout out everyone that's supporting what I'm doing. Shout out to my S.STREET media family. Shout out to my Winsburg family. Shout out to my Murray Bertram family. Shout out to all my dudes who I met behind the walls. Shout out to my tribe called Blessed, my moms, my son Easy, and my other family, man. Shout out to my cousin Justice, Casper, man, and my whole family on that side, man. I'm glad that we're back into unison again. I want my tribe together, man. You know what I mean? If they ain't good, I ain't good. If my tribe ain't good, I ain't good. This is what I do this shit for, man. Word. So I'm out of here. Peace and blessings to everyone. Keep your eyes open. Stay sucker free, man. And watch who you exchange energies with, man. My name is Mathematics. My name is Anthony WOMBLE, a.k.a. Mathematics, a.k.a. the Lord of the Fly, a.k.a. the Ghost in the motherfucking Matrix, man. And I am out of here. Peace.